Alright, welcome back to Getting Your TEFL Online. Okay, so today is technically May 31st, but I completed my TEFL certificate at May 29th at about 4 a.m. It was a weekend for me, and I just killed it. In this program, the first day I did roughly 3 units. Got up to, I did roughly 3 units. The second day, I completed all the way up to unit 7, and then the third day, I got up and I just went all the way through, and I finished at 4 a.m. So I was at my computer all day. That's how long it took. I do not have my final grades yet, but I'm pretty confident that I passed everything. Okay, so now we're going to look at the program. Okay, so I went through TEFL Full Circle, and this is them at a glance roughly. We'll go through these slides and then I'll show you the website. So when you buy the program, you get 6 months, and you can pay in their little store to extend it if you need it. And they also have a countdown timer on the side, so you always know how much time you have in the program. Okay, they have multiple certificates you can get through them, but their most popular one is obviously just a regular TEFL certificate. So it's 17 units or modules for the 120-hour TEFL certificate. And then if you go for the 160-hour TEFL certificate for the same price, it goes up to 26 modules. So technically, if you buy the 160-hour one, you could stop at module or unit 17 and just get your 120 hours, and that's it. You can stop right there, and you never have to do anything. The extra 40 hours is for teaching English to young learners. And then, I don't have the certificate yet. My questions really haven't been answered either. I'm not sure if you get 3 certificates, the 120, the 40, and then the 160. It's called their Master TEFL certificate or something like that. I don't know if you get all 3 or if you just get 2, the 160 and the 40, or I don't know what certificate you get, to be honest. But we'll find that out in the next video. So yeah, it's the exact same thing. The 120 and the 160 are the exact same thing for the first 17 modules. And then just add a couple more. So, on Groupon, the TEFL Full Circle is $39. So that is just for the class for 6 months. And what that comes with, what you see right here at the bottom, is the free PDF certificate. That's it. It was $39 either for the 120 or the 160. So I went ahead and went for the 160. And then you have to pay for extras. So you have to pay extra for the physical certificates, and if you need it graded and sent to you faster, you have to pay extra. If you need more than 6 months, you pay for that extra. And then they sell all sorts of things. They sell lesson plans, they sell guides, they sell books, they sell all sorts of things. And we'll go through their store at the end of this. But yeah, this class was $39 on a Groupon deal. And I'll have the link below if it's still valid. It's accredited by Accreditat, which is the same accrediting organization company that the other online class I was looking for. There's no real TEFL certifying agency or anything like that. So I guess something is better than nothing, and or if it's accredited by like a real university or something, like a physical university, not like a Liberty University or something like that, it's obviously going to hold more weight. And then, okay, in the asterisks here, I have it's a 10-day grading period. So when you finish your final assessments and you turn in your 2 projects, technically, for the 120 hour, the 40-hour adds, one more final assessment. They don't tell you this anywhere until you submit it, but you submit it through an email, the projects, and then they will email you back. They email me back the next day, even though I sent it in at 1 a.m. For the 120-hour stuff. They came back to me the next day and they said, please give us 10 days to grade, and then you can go find this. They do have it written in, like, you know, fine print website in places. And then I responded with an email with my questions, which they didn't really answer. I guess I had a bunch of questions. I was like, hey, I'm trying to do China, so I asked about the certificate things, like, do I get 3 certificates? Do I get 1 certificate? And I said I was kind of in a time pinch. I said that in my statement, and I just meant because I have to send these certificates to the State Department to get them all authenticated, and then I have to send them to the Chinese consulate to get them, like, legalized, or the other way around. I don't really know about that. So I guess they saw I'm in a time pinch, so they emailed me back and they said, oh, you can pay extra and we can grade it in 3 days. So I went and looked at the price. That's $20 extra, 20 pounds extra, possibly. And then, like all of the online courses I have seen, you get your free PDF certificate. So if you're not going to, like, from what I know, China or Vietnam, the PDF certificate is fine. Usually they just want a copy of proof of TEFL, and you can just send them that as, like, your copy, and you're fine. From what I'm noticing, there are a couple of countries to teach overseas. When you're getting your working visa, you have to have an authenticated, notarized, legalized certificate. So PDF printout from your computer is not good enough. Okay, so when you're in the actual training and you're going through the modules and units, this is what you're going to see, at least for the TEFL Full Circle. It's extremely text heavy. When I say extremely text heavy, the whole lesson is it's just giant blocks of text. They divide the modules into units, and then they throw random quizzes in there to keep you somewhat engaged. There are a couple of pictures, but they are just stock photos. They have nothing to do with the lessons most of the time. In the lesson planning and classroom management, those are the only 2 modules where the pictures had something to do with the actual training, and that was showing, like, seating orders and, like, discipline, and the lesson plans and, like, games and stuff like that. That's the only time you'll ever see pictures. Other than that, it's like kids holding hands and stuff like that. It's got a lot of terminology, definitions, and you're going to be doing a lot of memorization. I made a lot of study guides. Because I am under the influence that you lose access to this after your 6-month time period is up, and everything is text heavy, I copied every single slide, is pretty much how it's presented to you, and put them in Word documents and save them on a folder in my computer, so I can always go back and re-educate myself if I'm going to do a lesson on something I know is not my strong point, or if I'm having trouble in the classroom and I know to go refresh some skills. If there's a lot of, like, jargon that you're gonna go through, so you're gonna have to pay attention. If you're not good at reading, or if you zone out while you read, this is not a good course for you. Okay, and Full Circle, it focuses mainly on teaching methods, grammar, and theory. You're gonna go over this a lot, especially theory. It even goes into, like, teaching theories and practices that, like, I don't think a lot of people pay attention to, and I didn't even write it down in my notes. But you're gonna learn doctors' names and the theories that they came up with, and it even quizzes you on it, and they're in the final test. So I guess there's a heads up. Actually, I don't know if they're in the final test. Oh, no, yep, they are. They are in the final test. So you just gotta generally know what these doctors were teaching. What else? Oh yeah, grammar. Like for native speakers, like we know when things are right or wrong, especially when they sound. But when people ask you certain questions, you might not know how to explain it. So these are things when I'm talking about when I don't know if I should go over this now. Like parenthetical statements, appositives, verb tenses, parts of speech, stuff like that. When and why you would use certain words. And then teaching methods. It really, that's my next point. It's really an advocate of the PPP, the presentation, practice, and production. Usually that's pretty much like the gist of it. You present, the kids practice what you present, and then they try to produce something similar to what they practiced. That's mainly the gist. It's like the weird scientific method of learning languages. They break it down to 5 to 7 steps, and that's quizzed and tested heavily in this. So they do the introduction as one point. They'll do the warm-up as another point. Your presentation or introduction of new material as like your third point. Then you'll do like a controlled practice. Then you'll do a free practice or a creative practice where you're trying to get the students to create things, which I guess is technically their production. And then they have a step called reflection and feedback, which in my teaching experience, I always did after the class when you think back what went well, what didn't go so well, how do I improve my timing, stuff like that. And then their last points are the cool down and the goodbye. So, I mean, the cool down is you just play like a game that just kind of goes over what you did, just so they leave in like a good attitude. Okay, and in this training, there is no video and there's no audio. So unless you have one of those programs that will read these giant pages of text to you, you're going to be sitting there and you're going to be reading for hours, and or you're going to be sitting there for a long time. I want to say, like, in general, it takes about an hour to finish each each module, roughly. And that's coming from a native speaker who has a degree and who has foreign language teaching experience. So yeah. I was gonna say something else, but I completely forgot. Okay, so the assessments. Almost every unit either has a quiz or multiple quizzes. I'll go through some of the files that I save on my computer, and you'll see that you'll go through some units, and then there's a quiz, you'll go through some units, and there's a quiz. There could be up to like 6 quizzes in a single module, like less than 6. I remember was not the hardest module, but the longest module. And you'll see why. And then every unit has like an assessment. So it will test you for the main ideas of the complete unit, and these are long. Like a unit is like a storybook pretty much. And you need to, it asks very specific questions. It asks you like strong points, some weak points, or like advantages and disadvantages of like teaching methods. I guess this goes into my next point right here. You answer in multiple choice, true or false, or matching. And the way I put matching is it's not a true matching because it's on the computer. It's a drop-down window of multiple answers. So a question might have, it'll be one question, but it has like 6 questions in it. And it says match the 6 to the correct answer. And the correct answers are all these drop-down windows. Each drop-down window you only use once. Generally, unless it's the advantage or disadvantage. That one you can use multiple times. And the doctor ones, the doctor's names, you can use that one multiple times. But it'll say like, which one of these is the intro? Which one of these is the warm-up? Like when it does its, it'll say like list the PPP with the parts or something like that, and it'll say like, yeah, it'll give an example. It'll be like, you have come into the classroom and told them your name and written today's activities on the board. So that's your introduction. You play a game to get the students in the mood. That's your warm-up, stuff like that. So you just go down, and they'll be all out of order. It'll tell you to order things. Like it tests you on the PPP a lot. So it'll be like put them in order, and then it'll give you pretty much the same thing, and you gotta put them in order. Sometimes it's ordered 1 through 5, and it mixes. It'll like combine introduction and warm-up, or like cool down and goodbye, or reflection and cool down, or something like that. And you got to put them in order from 1 to 5. And then there's true and false, and then there's multiple choice. And then at the very end, when you complete your final assessment, your final test, which you get 3 attempts on, which is this point right here. I'm mixing these 2 points right here. After you complete your final assessment for there's a 120 final assessment, and then there's a 160 or a 40-hour teaching English to young learners final assessment. One of them's like 65 questions, and one of them's like 55 questions, roughly, ballparking. After that, for the 120, you have to complete it's generally a 500-word essay answer on a question that they choose. So you have like A, B, and C, which gives you, so the rules are choose a section, A, B, and C, and then choose an answer, or choose a question to answer. So like A has like 2 points, B has like 3 points, and C has like 3 points. But then some of them will say, if you choose B2, you also have to do B3, because they're 250-word answers. So some of them, they want to keep them short and simple, and then they ask you to answer 2, and then if you do the long ones, which are 500 words or more, you only do 1. So they try to keep it equal at around 500 words or more to answer their questions. And they're looking for examples. And then the other one is a lesson plan, which you're supposed to use their template, which would not open correctly on my computer. So I pretty much made a table that copied it, and I filled it in the way that they wanted it. And there's things on that lesson plan I've never even heard of. So I hope I did it right, and that's what takes 10 days to grade, is you know your final assessment grade, but you have to email the writing assignment and a lesson plan, and then they come back and say, we'll get back to you in 10 days. And you have to make at least a 75 pass. And then there you go. There's your 10-day grading process, which I put asterisks on, which they came back and said, yeah, if you go to the store, the buy tab, you can pay for a 3-day grading process. Like, get that out of here. But if you're on a super time crunch, I guess this is one of those courses that are going to try to nickel and dime you out of everything. I'm still waiting for them to say, oh, if you want all 3 certificates, you have to pay for 3 certificates, which on their buy page just has certificate. It just says the word certificate. Okay, so do I recommend this program? If you have teaching experience, yeah, you're going to remember all this stuff. You've done it all before, especially if you've done any training through any of the schools or internships that you've done. you've learned all this stuff before, and it's more or less just an online refresher course. So there are plenty of times where I remember going over all this stuff in my internship when I went to China, and then obviously I practice all this stuff in Japan. If you don't have teaching experience, this is going to be rough. You're going to learn a lot of new stuff, a lot of jargon. You're going to learn all sorts of things, like what total physical response is, which is pretty much just long story short, it's just adding physical nature to words that you're trying to teach them. So if you're teaching like stand up, sit down, you stand up and sit down at the same time. Numbers, stuff like that. Yeah, you're gonna learn a lot of stuff that native speakers don't, because I remember learning this in China. You reflect on how you know these things, but can you necessarily teach these things? And again, like I said, like things like a parenthetical statement. When I say that, a lot of you will be like, I have no idea what a parenthetical statement is off the top of my head. But you know what it is because you've seen them before, because almost everything we've ever read has a parenthetical statement somewhere. It's usually a sentence that has something followed in parentheses that clarifies the sentence. That's pretty much what a parenthetical statement is. It's always confused by the comma breaks, like when you're saying Sam, comma, your boyfriend, comma, but that's also, that's an appositive, so it's more or less roughly the same thing. Like what these things are, but when someone asks you like the definitions of these things, that's when native speakers are like, I have no idea. This thing is really heavy on verb tenses as well. So your past progressive, your simple past progressive, your future simple, stuff like that. So you're gonna learn the stuff that, I don't know, you learn in like 2nd or 3rd grade. Your ing belongs to the continuous, the have-beens, and yeah, you're gonna do all that stuff. And then like lesson planning, classroom management, and like timing, that's difficult if you don't have classroom experience. Like because I remember the internship in China, you're gonna make these awesome looking lesson plans, and then you're gonna get into the classroom, and either your kids are gonna be a genius and you're gonna fly through all your content, and then you're gonna feel like an idiot when you have like 20 minutes to go and you've got no more content, so you just kind of, I don't know, once you do that once or twice, you never do it again. Or you're gonna have kids that are so slow that you didn't even get through half your lesson plan, and then what do you do? So what do you do for the next lesson when you're supposed to be on unit 2 but you're still on unit 1 and you're only halfway through it? So yeah, if you have no teaching experience, I highly implore you to do some type of classroom program, or an internship before an actual teaching job, or sitting in, or trying to do like a classroom aid type of thing. Even if you're in the States, like sometimes you can go to schools and just say you want to like intern more or less as like a teacher's aide, get some good hands-on training. As for price, since I got a Groupon, $39, that's pretty good. I found one that's $5, so either way, that's better. $39 is better than the $59 one I was going to do, which looked exactly the same, so I feel like I saved money. And then if you just go to these websites, they're like $500, $300 to $1,000. So Groupon is definitely the way to go. You get the full shebang. And then time. I like this one because it matched with my timing. I had past teaching experience, so this was mainly like a refresher course. and I was able to pretty much fly through it. I had a weekend off. It was Memorial Day weekend, and I got to just kill it. I got to sit here pretty much 20 hours at my computer, just knocking modules out left and right. So yeah, when it comes to price and time. But if you're not self-motivated, my second day when I got to Unit 7, Unit 6 was such a killer, and it was so boring that I thought to myself, I'm not going to finish this thing. Like, this is so dull, and just that I pictured myself just saying, screw it, I don't need a TEFL anyway. But the next day, the same way I was in college. Once I just start rolling, I don't want to stop. So I just went, and I finished it at 4 a.m. So that's my recommendations. Yeah, like I said, this is what you see. All right, so let's get to the meat here. Get to the meat. Okay, so like you saw at the end of my video, this is your TEFL course. This is my timer. So I mean, you can go look at my old video and see when you pretty much get 6 months. So you can match up my timing. Like I said, I finished on the 29th around 4 a.m. I submitted, you'll see here, after 17, you can take the end of course assessment for your 120 hour. I finished that about 1 a.m. And then I did all this stuff from 18 to 26. And then the other final is in like 3 hours. This was pretty much a refresher of the stuff in here. It was almost the exact same thing. You're just reading it all over again. And yeah. So if I click on these things and I say I want to download my certificate, it's still saying it's waiting for my lesson plan and written assessment to be passed. And then anytime, oh yeah, so we can go in here. We'll go look at lesson 6 because it's like the longest one. So first you have these. You have like your, oh wait, I'll show you this. This is kind of oddly set up. You can click on your introduction. So the introduction has 2 slides, module content and introduction. So you're gonna do this. I'm gonna read this, then I'm gonna read the introduction. Both of these are real short, nice and short. Oh yeah, got my image. That means nothing. And then it has nothing on the side to go back to where I was. So you click on the up, and it brings you back here. So you really need to pay attention on like what you were doing. And then we actually go to the module, lesson 6. Then you see it's got all these units. It has its own introduction, then it has all these units. There it goes. It's got pictures, don't do anything for you. And it goes over everything. And it's just reading. And then this one might give you a picture. Oh yeah, because so this one is your this module is about lesson planning. So you are seeing it introducing you to lesson plans, and you can download it in PDF. They give you downloads in this whole program. You can download their PDF or Word document, and then it gives you a picture of what it roughly is going to look like when you open it up. So this is their lesson plan, and this is what you have to fill out for your final exam, which you choose from one to, like, you get a handful of scenarios to choose from and how you would plan that lesson. It tells you what you're going to go over, how old the people are, how many people there are, how long you have to do it, and stuff like that. So when it came to like, normally in lesson plans, you just have a timeline like this. This is what you're usually, I don't know, maybe I should open up some old lesson plans that I have, but I'm not, because I don't have that set up. But like when it came into timing, I only assumed this is asking you how long you're gonna do each one of these activities. Stage, I had no matter where I looked for what they wanted here, I have no idea what they wanted written in the stage or in the interaction. So in the stage, roughly the only thing I could find is this happening at the beginning, the middle, or the end. That's kind of how I put it. They might be asking what stage of the PPP it is, and if so, I probably got that wrong. And then interaction, I assumed, what are they interacting with? So are they interacting with each other? Are they interacting with the teacher? Or are they interacting by themselves or with textbooks, tools? And then the reason for the activity is more or less probably what your learning aims and SMART objectives are. Like your warm-up to get the students excited about today's topic. Roughly what I wrote for that answer. The activity, so you go into detail. You go step by step what you're going to do. What does your warm-up look exactly? Pretty much if you're playing a game, what are the rules of the game and how it's set up and what the kids are going to get out of it. The reflecting cooler is just a game, usually. The extension strategies, a lot of generic lesson plans don't have this on here. This is your backup plan. And again, if you have your genius students, what will you do to extend the time? Do you give them, like if you have like a smart board or like a movie projector type of thing in your classroom, do they get to play games? Do they get to watch movies? Do they get to watch cartoons? I've had schools where they allow this. Like, let's watch an English cartoon. Do they get to do some, I guess in China, KTV or karaoke, practice singing an English song? Do you have a backup game plan? Stuff like that. And then homework. And the lesson plan that I chose through the assessment didn't assign any homework, so I only assumed. So I wrote something like, the kids will do any book work that is assigned, or any textbook homework that is assigned, and I put an and. I think the lesson was over. The lesson was over articles. I think it was like indefinite articles. Pretty sure this is the lesson plan that I chose. So the difference between a and an, and using it in front of a noun. So I said, come back to class with at least 3 examples of words that started with the an article. And then the cross-circular link and the use of IT is like things outside the classroom that they would get, and to keep them lifelong learners. They really push that. Like if, I don't even know, they watch a lot of like cartoons online, or if they spend a lot of time on Twitter or Facebook, whatever country you're in, they use a lot of social media, or they go into like English websites and stuff. Yeah, so this is, I mean, and you're just gonna go through these things. Text, read it, text, read it, text, read it, read it. This one's probably gonna have a quiz. So there it is. Finally get to this one, Unit 6, and then you take a quiz. And this quiz is gonna be on Units 1 through 6. Take the quiz, and then if you pass it, it opens it up. So yeah. Also, how this whole course works is you can't move on to the next module, roughly, until those assessments have at least an 80% on your assessment. 7 through 13 are grouped together with an assessment, and then 14 through 17 are together, and then you have an end of course assessment. So you could stop right here at the 120 level, because this is the only time you do the 2 projects, and then you're done. You just want the 120 TEFL certificate. And then if you want the Teach English to Young Learners, you finish these. There's another final assessment, but you do not have to do a lesson plan, and you do not have to do another essay. All based off of the one you already turned in. Okay, so when I was going through it, this is what it was looking like when I was copying it. So this is what you're going to see. So I I went in and copied everything. You can see a timeline. You see where the quizzes are. That's where I saved like their lesson plans or whatever. I mean, you just open them up and it's pretty much, it's all text. So if I'm ever having a hard time, label what each one was. There you go. And then I have the Teach English in here. And then it gives you a review of your final assessment, stuff like that. We can go in and look at my grades if you want to. You can go in and look at your grades whenever you want. So, see all these things. My final grade was a 99.92. And you get 3 chances. And so the first end of course assessment, I got a 99.22. That's what I got on my first one. They accept your highest grade, so if you wanted to shoot for 100, go for it. On my first attempt, that's what I got. A lot of multiple choice, not multiple choice. There's some questions where they have multiple answers, and that just kind of trips you up. Yeah. Yeah, like on this one, this was just this was a 7 to 13 assessment. The first time I took it, I pretty much got an 80%, an 83% technically. And then I took it again, I got a 100 because you realize, oh, it was those stupid multiple answer questions, which I'm always bad at. So yeah, that's what you're gonna see. See, then 2 attempts, you're gonna make 100. There's only like 1 quiz, and it might have been Unit 6. I don't really remember, just because it's so long. Where it took me 3 attempts to get a 100, and I don't even think I got a 100 on that one. And we'll go back to Unit 6 one. It was so long. I just looked for the non. Yeah, the end of Module 6. It was so long. I got a 97.5. That's my lowest grade, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was my lowest grade. And it was just, it was long. It was long. I was tired of reading. Module 6 is, it's the hump in this course. Once you get past that, it's smooth sailing. And then it all pops up again. You're in a course assessment. Okay, this video is going on for a long time. Okay, so yeah, they will tell you, like in my email, oh yeah, if you need more time, go buy some stuff, blah blah. This is all the stuff you can add on to your package or whatever. This is okay. This is their regular prices. So 200 pounds, 150 pounds. Yeah. And then you come down here, certificate, 9 pounds, well, $14, I'm assuming, guessing. The 3-day marking, 20 pounds. 20 pounds, that's like $30. And then your extensions. And then lesson plans, yeah. So if you need help on lesson plans when you actually have a job, they have stuff already made out for you, I guess, to do your job for you. In my experience, the only time you would ever need something like this is if the class or the school that you work for gives you free reign. If you have no experience and the class or school gives you free reign on an English class, you're going to be lost. You're either going to look at old lesson plans that previous English teachers have left around, or you're going to need a lot of help. But I guess technically you can just go buy some. Have the plans listed for you completely. And if you're a new teacher, lesson plans do not work. One lesson plan won't work for multiple classes and multiple age range. Like class size, age range, ability, like all those things are factored in. You kind of learn the hard way too. One class is going to be filled with geniuses. One class is going to be filled with cave people. And they will go at different speeds. They will go at different grades. You'll have to use completely different methods. Little kids love games. High schoolers don't. Old people want real life examples. Well, there you go. And this is pretty much what it looks like. So if you just want to jump in and buy it, which I will leave the Groupon link below. And if you need the paper certificate, you have to add that. They got their books, and if you need their fast marking, $30, man. All right. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Hopefully, this pretty much went over the gist of the TEFL Full Circle program. A new video will be on when, I guess technically, I get my certificates in the mail. I'll tell you how long that took and my next steps from there. As soon as I get my certificates, I'm going to get them notarized and then mailed off to the State Department for authentication / legalization, something or other. And I'm hoping I can do that before I go on vacation in June. In a week from now. It's not gonna happen. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Happy to type some comments. Send me a direct message. And I will try to answer it for you. But hopefully this, I think this was pretty much all the questions I had going in. Go at your own pace. You can knock it out in 2 to 3 days if you really try hard. I recommend this for teachers who have experience and know TEFL. I don't necessarily recommend it for no experience. All right. Thank you. Have a good one.